See that man over there, the piano player? See how his fingers move as he walks. He hears music. He always hears music. That's what I want. I'm in a warehouse with the late night crowd. There's a tightrope strung up about 20 feet off the ground. One friend and then a second friend walk this rope. They wear white shirts, black pants, and checkered socks. They don't sing, they don't dance, they rock the room all the same. We live for magic, me and my checkered friends. We're wonderful, and we do it for the wonder. For these friends, I make art. If it's not magic, I don't want it. If it's not magic, I don't want it. If it's not magic, I don't want it. No thinking, no thinking, no thinking, no thinking, no thinking. Bob opens his eyes. Wake up, sunshine. Another beautiful day in Bobtown. No bobbing for apples in Bobtown. Bob and his literary cohorts were bobbing for big game. Bob's major themes: awareness, precision, wit, sensitivity, a strong erotic content, an attempt to step out of private ego and share the loveliness of life. Bob was hobnobbing with Roberta, Robert, and Bobby, also poets. Fussy and elaborate. Posers in search of a myth, thought Bob, but never dared this opinion out loud. These poets all thought they mattered, and maybe they did, and perhaps it was Bob who didn't matter. They never said Bob's words were chiseled or carefully wrought, and both the public and the critics turned their backs on him. Still, Bob was certain somewhere out there a small band of admirers was rereading his elegies, noting his philosophical bent and dry, sardonic wit. Time would sort everything. He was sure to conquer in the end, was bound to conquer given enough time, say, 3 lifetimes bankroll to the hilt. Bob, the master of sour cryptic epigrams, said, no sentimentality, no easy jokes, but Bob still laughed, albeit lately, an ever more biting and bitter laugh. Said Robert, the truest and most significant is individual experience, and yet so limited. But if I can't trust me, who can I trust? Bobby joked, if the unconscious mind is an iceberg, will global warming melt it? In response, Roberta said, well, they say down at the beach, the mermaids are coming ashore. That can't be good, can it? Bob said to Roberta, a night with you is like love in the bushes with wild beasts and an old rival spying with hate, poised to attack. Said Bob, in an art forum, my poems are extensions of my life, autobiographical in a detached sense. Life is not about things, but our impression of things, not about one particular feeling, but a confluence of feelings. What is consistent in life is contradiction, competing impulses, fear, prejudices, jealousies, shortcomings, and awe. A good poet possesses not only his own spirit, but also the spirit of his peers. Chance and circumstance will play a role. Lucky those with the lucky dime who show up at the right place at the right time. Bob, who branded himself as a maker and performer of images in various media, was always surprising on stage. A lightning bolt out of nowhere, mid-sentence. Kurt. Water clear as blue jade. Flowers fall at spring's end, confused, whirling in a tangle. And before the end of day, we scatter like stars or rain. But I will find you. I'll always find you. I know your laugh. I sing words found in a coat I bought on the street. I play Chopin when the sea storms. I say, try the octopus if you don't mind ink. I say, I was a starfish on the deep sea floor. I say, help me, I'm lost on a lonely shore. We're not strangers, I say. I know your laugh. Oh, my love, mi amor, love me until I am me again. You waited in the high tree, the highest apple on the bough. I say, I'll pluck you yet. And you bent ever so low to meet my hand. Oh, the untidiness of love. And how could love not be untidy? I say, we were caterpillars, we were butterflies. One thing becomes another, a dance of metamorphosis. But I'll always find you because I know your laugh. I arrive on the 7:10, hope to see the old gang again. The moment and the eternal, the now and the forever. Numinous, a sacred place, the feeling both fearful and fascinating. In biblical times, I would have been one of those who danced around the golden calf in the moonlight and thought it marvelous. I would have been one of the smote. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And so begins every piece of art. I gave myself over to the power of transformation, but was non-committal in the shape it would take. I knew what I was doing, but had no idea what I did. And what might begin as a dance might become a play, or a painting, or a song. In my process, the form was ever changing. The language of one discipline transmuted into the language of another discipline. I like the word synesthesia, the idea of crossing pathways. I like to think of painting as a dance and poetry as a painting. And when I looked around, all was animism, and the bushes were frisky, and the palm gods and the palm fronds were peering down. I would report only what happened before my eyes. The painting experience first, the writing later, and before that, some active meditation, a surrender of self-control, a spontaneous dance. I would close my eyes and say, begin, and let what came out come out. It sounded like, ah, ah, ah. I enter a dream state where I glimpse memory in the primordial DNA, some ancestral artifact. I hear crashing waves and am inside an ancient temple of love with red clay floor and open sky. Rosebuds are tossed by henna-tinted revelers in a slithery dance, hand in hand, barefoot, circling a fire in a bliss of intoxication to a slow serpentine flute and the pop and crackle of the flames, sharing visions of a better day. They cared not what it was named, and named it not. Water, water, we thirst. Crossing the llano, the quicksilver of summer, the treeless plain, a lake, a pool, a sad mirror, a wading ibis, a firth bay, an estuary, a long-legged waterfowl, a heron, a magpie, a jackdaw. She beckons me to climb the 9 white stairs. On her arm, a jeweled asp. On the temple door, a trifling, almost rubbed away. They knew not what it was named, and named it not. I opened my eyes and wrote, beware, life's a slippery slope. I wrote, I wish to stand with the ancients and have the ancient experience. I wrote, The wind blows, the trees are drunken, the water ripples, the water is drunken. I pour myself into you, we're all drunken. We wait for a small, beautiful moment in an indifferent world. I closed my eyes again. The vision was gone. I sang, I'll leave on the 12:02. Can't believe there's no more you. Seems I'm a stranger in my own hometown. Five red dots, 4 blue stripes. I want to save the world. I rarely read artist statements before my first solo show, and I was conflicted by what I knew I should say as opposed to the truth. I make art about making art. Too pithy. I want to breathe life into inanimate objects. Closer. I want to make art for guest bedrooms of rich people's second homes that get seen in San Francisco magazine. Bingo. But sanity prevailed, so upon entering the gallery, you'll see my trademark dots and stripes by my artist statement. Through a limited pictorial vocabulary, I wrestle with difficult social issues. I want to sign a picture and have someone buy it because it is signed by me. I don't care if it ends up in Lithuania or Belarus or gets stuck in a closet. Plenty more dots and stripes where those came from. I want to go to cafes, sign the bill, doodle some dots and stripes, and eat free like Picasso. I want to be the subject of an in-depth article for an upmarket art fair written by David Sally, no less. 5 dots, 4 stripes, Art Basel, Miami. The cool factor, yes, very. The way you use orange and blue always together. It's not easy to paint jazz. I see beauty spiked with pain. A spare austerity. Washes of muted romance. Sparse, bleak, seductive. I hear the echo, wail, and boom of some wild, intoxicated muse. So, now what? Asked David Sally. I answered. I bought machines at an auction for almost nothing, old, useless, and of another time. I retooled them to make beautifully mad, imperfectly perfect, gleefully unlikely creations. I grant myself freedom from artistic doctrine and make my own rules, like God. Except I never expect praise. David Sally interrupts me. Dots and stripes? Well, of course, that's my brand. Okay. Joe Cupcake thought about reincarnation and how our real life is rarely the life we live. If he could do it all again, Joe, embarrassingly, had to admit being more spiritually evolved was not higher on his list. Joe didn't see himself surrounded in light as much as seeing his name up in lights. He'd be an action hero who could remember his lines and hit his marks and have a love interest in every port. He'd have a trainer and do his own stunts and order off the menu at restaurants. What would Joe do when out of work? This scared him. He'd seen actors at airports surfing baggage carousels or photobombing newlyweds. Careful what you wish for. And one need not travel far down the spiritual path to know it is an illusion that happiness is made of fame, power, and money. The pitfalls were obvious, but he was adamant. Movie star Joe was the next Joe for him. Wrote Joe. Vicuna, I'd think. Touching my jacket sleeve, nice. Tomorrow, I'll order a dozen Briani suits, go to Davos, schmooze with Bono, talk world peace till Bono, we all must first seek inner peace. Tell Bono how much I enjoyed his book. We're in a restaurant packed with celebrities and billionaires, Asian fusion or something like that. I order a simple salad, tomato slices, crumbled blue cheese. I have another dinner in an hour. I don't say much while the conversation swirls around me, but everyone seems delighted I'm at the table. I'd been thinking about my early career when I was known as an actor's actor, a film festival darling, the vulnerable male who could cry on cue. Those roles might have continued had a critic not dubbed me the next Brando or next James Dean Jumbles, but this overstatement made me an easy target for ridicule, especially after I shed real tears when I was betrayed by my third wife, which led to that drunken scuffle with the paparazzi, which exposed my pugilistic side. How unlikely a thing will ruin or save one, and suddenly producers saw me in a new light. Now, I shudder at ever playing those nebbish roles again. The new me doesn't talk much. I do. The waiter asks if I'd like another tonic water. No, I smile, but I do ask for 3 stewed prunes for dessert. Everyone beams at me, and one of the billionaire's wives asks how I endure being so famous. I give her that gaze I'd practiced and say, I'm introverted and a very private person, and the only one I ever like to recognize me is my agent. A laugh, and I'm asked about my next role. I play me, I deadpan. I'm a melancholy detective on a skid-down id row to get to the dark heart of things. Clearly, my next life was inane, but the prunes were good. I considered a 4th prune, looked at my watch. No, I had to run. Joe Cupcake thought about his last moment. Would there be end credits and theme music? Would he leave them whistling in the aisle? Did the plot meander? Did the story arc work? Was the dialogue stilted or the pacing too slow? And did anyone care about him, the lead? Joe would argue at least the sets and the wardrobe were nice. Fuck the critics. Joe wondered, when others saw the movie of their lives, did they see a comedy? They were hurling pell-mell, hurly-burly toward love, 32 feet per second. Falling fast seemed okay on such a whirly-twirly, twirly-swirly kind of day. A boy, a girl, they're hot, they whirl, they twirl, head over heel, and do it upside down once or twice on a Ferris wheel. But we're getting ahead of the plot. She was nothing if not a party girl. She loved playing the bongos almost more than anything, until she met him, dark, tall, handsome, and trouble. To him, she was pure color, just the way it squeezes out of the tube. But he feared the wrath of Circe. It's not always a blind man that falls into a pit. He thought it hearsay about Circe, her potions and her powers. He took the plunge, heedless of warnings, and could only laugh when the press dubbed him the lucky pig of the hour. Not easy dating a famous woman. It is a story of jealousy, love, and a femme fatale with a fetish for veiled hats. Our hero, an artist of no repute, not a beatnik, not a bum, just a guy who painted plums. On the radio, midnight comes slowly sweeping on, in silent rest lay Babylon. The kind of song you heard in this vale of tears. Caught up in the tabloids as lovers sounds fun. But she had him on all fours. Kneel and squeal she'd command. Enter Circe's ex-suitor, the forgotten rock legend, a wild boar, wild about the painter's work. He swoons. This is growing up, adult, cool baby. Not baby cool. It's about being wise, not young. Anti-establishment. The rocker raves about the painter's palette of red, blue, and lilac and buys enough so the painter can escape Circe's island. The rocker would later sell those studies of plums at great profit, but at day's end, the artist's bold breakthrough painting, Girl with Bongos, is what history will remember. Blessed the day, holy the hour. I'm on the hunt. I'm on the prowl. I'm on the platinum plan. Goodbye, my fading roses. Farewell, my withering flowers. I'm on the never, never, seeking the ever, ever. But today is the day. I'm writing my libretto. I see a sinister dreamscape projected on white walls, urban and rural deterioration, social disintegration, up, down, square, round. I see the wrecking ball. We're racing to ruin. Where else could we be racing? On the wall, lost reward, Mr. Boots. What is out there is in you. What is in you is in others. We each have a shadow side, and we have a shadow side as a people. No one knows what's coming. Out of the midst they came thereof, the scapegoats. Where did they bury our sins? Do we know our sins? Can we remember our sins? Can we fathom our sins? Sometimes we must journey alone in the wilderness, looking for an angel. At the Imperium Emporium, see her dance, the prima ballerina assoluta. A tangle of shadows, a silver ball forms in her hand, falls and drops at her feet. She becomes a butterfly and makes her way through blizzard and darkness to arrive dazzlingly inviolate at her destination. And the lover is there. A dizzy dance for a dizzy day in May. Hear the penny whistle. That was a year ago. The wars grind on. Time ravages her restless heart. Bitter spring and now summer. Nothing I can do, mother. I shall go mad for the love of that boy. I approach the dancer after the show. I sing, I could turn gray skies to blue if I had you. Yeah, I'm looking for an angel. In a dream, you took both my hands and said it would be okay. Oh, isn't it pretty to think so? A bird sang, and your lips brushed my cheek, and I want to believe you are an angel. Oh, isn't it pretty to think so? All my doubts, all my fears, you eased them away. Oh, isn't it pretty to think so? Could I ever have such faith and maintain that faith over time? But in a dream, you took both my hands and said it would be okay. And I want to believe, yeah, I want to believe you are an angel. Oh, isn't it pretty to think so?